Moon, running for councilor in my ward, 23. Not been in this bitch. Alright, let's see what's gonna fall. What's the next thing to fall, buddy? Alright, let's dive deep in shit, baby. Tired as hell, nigga, but you know what I'm saying? I keep going.
Was making $300,000 a year, but leaving millions on the table. So here's how we fix the 3 core issues in your business and how you can apply the same tactics to scale yours. My name's Alex Hormozi. I run acquisition.com. A portfolio of companies that last year did over 250.
I remember lead magnets. She focused on avatar clarity and doing more on the marketing side, on the ad side. So qualify leads and continuity, lifetime value. Let's see.
$50 million in aggregate revenue. So let's dive in. So here are the quick facts you need to know. Who does she sell to? Rich folks. What does she sell them? Fashion design and advice for their personal style. How much is she making? $309,000. Her profit last year, $130,000. That's 42% margins. The number of customers she served lifetime is over 1,000, so kind of impressive. And then this is her model. She sells an $8,500 60-day kind of onboarding transformation where she picks new colors and palettes and all that kind of stuff, and then she rotates them into a $2,000 per month or 45 new color. She sells an $8,500 60-day kind of onboarding.
Okay, hold up.
1,000, so kind of impressive. And then this is her model. She sells an 85
model, so I write price structures. Call in the bin.
$500 60-day kind of onboarding transformation where she picks new colors and palettes and all that kind of stuff, and then our 60-day kind of
$2K a month. Okay.
Onboarding transformation where she picks new colors and palettes and all that kind of stuff, and then she rotates them into a $2,000 per month or $4,500 per quarter ongoing style thing. Plus she gets affiliate commission because if they buy clothing through her, she gets 10% of the purchase price. That's how she makes her money. Let's dive in. So problem number 1, Ashley had a leaky funnel. She has a premium offer, a good close rate, and customers who love her work. But when I looked at her funnel, it was pretty much non-existent. She was sending paid cold traffic to a form with no headline, value proposition, or reason to opt in. There was just a get more info button. So here's the wild part. Despite all that, she was still getting customers, which told me the quality of her service was probably pretty strong. And so the bottleneck was her conversion rate. Basically, the number of clicks that actually turned into customers. And so the numbers actually backed up that hypothesis. So she was getting about 1,800 clicks and turning those 1,800 clicks only into 8 sales. A huge leak in her process. 0.4% conversion to traffic with high intent. Advertisements fall into 2 categories. You have interruption-based, and then you have intent-based. Interruption-based is everything that you see that you're not looking for. So if you're on social media and you see an ad, you didn't start that day being like, you know what, I want to have an ad for a new pillow. No, you just see the ad that's interruption-based. So television, radio, social media, online banner ads, all of that stuff is just interruption. Intent is where you initiate it. So you start to look for it. That's usually when you search for things, you might call up friends and get referrals. Like those are high intent customers or at least high intent prospects. And you want to have very different metrics that you track separately for each of those things. And one of the biggest mistakes that I think business owners make is number 1, they'll blend that and try and understand their business, which you have to keep that separate because there's 2 different people who need 2 different processes and sometimes 2 different products. Sometimes people don't know if their stuff's good. They're like, oh man, I think I'm doing terribly, but they're comparing their cold traffic metrics to their warm or high intent traffic metrics and vice versa. The good news is we didn't really need to change what she was selling because she was converting a high percentage and she has decent price points, so I'm not upset about that part. We just had to make it easier for people to buy. So this is what we did. So we made 4 core changes. Step 1 is we added a lead magnet. And think through all the different versions of what could we give away for free to get people to more interested. Because if you just say, hey, get more info, number 1, not very compelling. Number 2, that goes from like 0 to let's sleep together. And so sure, she had a high close rate, but she was also dealing with the people who were like in desperate need. But there's so many other buyers, the 80% or more of buyers who like, just give me a little bit first before I take the next step. That's where the lead magnet comes in. And I think this is a huge misunderstanding for a lot of businesses, because like people think, oh, I'm gonna give something away for free, I'm gonna solve their problem. It doesn't work like that at all. If you do it right, what you do is you solve a very narrow problem that then reveals the next problem that you solve for the thing you sell. If I were to say, hey, come buy my thing, I might get 1 out of 100 people to buy. But if I say, hey, you have this problem, here's a free thing, and I might get 10 people to try my free thing, but then of those 10 people, I can get 3 of them to buy. So I triple my sales by adding some sort of value prior to making my real money ask. And if you think, what is content? Content is in some ways hundreds and thousands of tiny little lead magnets that you get for free without someone even having to opt in, so that you can basically give a pre-lead magnet to the lead magnet, and so we can lubricate this entire process top to bottom. So what we did is we created a style assessment offer, basically a personalized consult based on skin tone, body type, and lifestyle. And somebody who's rich and feels like their status doesn't match the way they dress and cares about that, obviously I care about that because my style is impeccable. The thing that makes a great lead magnet, because I don't want you to take like, should I use a style assessment? No, let me tell you that the pieces that make a great lead magnet: fast, easy, narrow, solves one complete problem. So I'll tell you my favorite lead magnet of all time. I just remembered this the other day, so I'll tell you. So I saw this in the dating space. It said how to know if a girl wants you to kiss her on a date. That's a huge need for a guy if he's on a date, but he doesn't want to seem like a weirdo, right? So there's huge pain that he's avoiding, and great promise of if she does like you, you get a kiss. So like literally such great polar stakes for learning this one thing. So what they reveal, and the lead magnet is, I'll give you the answer, is you try and brush her hair behind her ear. If you do that, and then she rolls her hand into, or doesn't at least promise on a date, but he doesn't want to see if a girl wants you to kiss her on a date. That's a huge need for a guy if he's on a date, but he doesn't want to seem like a weirdo, right? So there's huge pain that he's avoiding, and great promise of if she does like you, you get a kiss. So like literally such great polar stakes for learning this one thing. So what they reveal, and the lead magnet is, I'll give you the answer, is you try and brush her hair behind her ear. If you do that, and then she rolls her hand into, or doesn't at least move her head away from your hand, then you've got a girl who's okay with you kissing her. On the flip side, if you reach for her hair and she just moves her head back, she probably doesn't want you to kiss her. Now, I would also encourage you to not surprise attack, because most people would just move away. Anyways, always get consent, guys. Let's talk about why it works. So instant perceived value, especially for high-end clients who don't want a DIY checklist, right? These are high-end concierge. They want a taste of that concierge experience. So the best thing we can do is let them try it out a little, let them ride the bike. Let me tell you the action steps for you so you can actually do this in your own business. So this is from the $100 Million Leads, page 45. If you're struggling to get leads, make an amazing lead magnet. Figure out the problem that you want to solve for the right customer, figure out how you want to solve it, figure out how to deliver it, make the name interesting and clear, make it easy to consume, make sure it's actually good. And this one, like, I still don't get this. Like, they put their trash as their lead magnet. I'm like, 99% of people are never gonna buy anything from you. You want the marketplace to judge you on your worst thing? I have now, on average, spent 2 years per book that I've written, which is basically the lead magnet for my business. It's important. You don't need to give your lead magnet to everyone. And this is something that Ashley brought up when we were talking about this. She said, I don't want to give every Tom, Dick, and Harry free personalized style assessment. And I was like, you're right, you don't want to do that. So when we're going to give someone this lead magnet, which doesn't have to be automated, so people have this assumption like, oh, it has to be an ebook, it has to be a free video, it has to be a book. It doesn't even have to be a book. You can have a service as a lead magnet. All you do though is it's not for everyone. So in order to qualify for this free thing, like there's no rules. We can say who gets this free thing, who doesn't get this free thing. It's America or wherever you live. Like you're allowed to choose to do business with one person or another. Say if you meet these qualifications, then I will give you this free thing because you're a high likelihood candidate. I would give you a ride in my free jet if I want you to buy a private jet. If you can't afford a private jet, there's no point. There's no way you can convert. So it's just pure cost for me. Not a good idea. And so the big four I always look for: budget, authority, need, timing. Do they have the money? Do they have the authority to make the decision? Do they actually want this thing? It is now a good time. If I can get those 4 answers prior and they say yes to all 4, now I've got a good qualified prospect. The first thing we did to fix the funnel was we gave something, this authority, it's not for everyone. So in order to qualify, it has to be an ebook, it has to be a free video, it has to be a book. It doesn't even have to be a book. You can have a service as a lead magnet. All you do though is it's not for everyone. So in order to qualify for this free thing, like there's no rules. We can say who gets this free thing, who doesn't get this free thing. It's America or wherever you live. Like you're allowed to choose to do business with one person or another. Say if you meet these qualifications, then I will give you this free thing because you're a high likelihood candidate. I would give you a ride in my free jet if I want you to buy a private jet. If you can't afford a private jet, there's no point. There's no way you can convert. So it's just pure cost for me. Not a good idea. And so the big four I always look for: budget, authority, need, timing. Do they have the money? Do they have the authority to make the decision? Do they actually want this thing? And is now a good time? If I can get those 4 answers prior and they say yes to all 4, now I've got a good qualified prospect. The first thing we did to fix the funnel was we gave something more valuable for someone to take a step with rather than get more info. So the second thing we did was we installed a VSL. So what is a VSL? A VSL is a video sales letter, which is just a fancy way of saying you film yourself doing your best pitch. VSLs can vary in length depending on the nature of the traffic, the price point of the thing that they're selling, and the sales process that follows. So the 3 P's for us in terms of making an acquisition process can be product, prospect, process. What are we selling? Who are we selling it to? How are we gonna sell it? For her thing, she's going to be pre-framing this style assessment to then upsell on that call into her main thing. I didn't expect, especially given the nature of the traffic that she had, which was high intent, that she would really need more than call it like a 3 to 7 minute video before the call, explaining the offer, setting expectations, and this filters out bad leads and pre-sales good ones. The reason pre-selling is important, especially as you scale, is that you want to always shorten sales cycles. For example, it takes you 2 calls to close prospects on average. If you can take that from 2 calls to 1 call, you can double your sales with the same size team. So it makes you more efficient per salesperson that you hire. And some of you guys have 3 and 4 call sales processes that absolutely can get cut from 4 to 2 or sometimes even 1 if you add in these pre-selling components. Because functionally, this is the belief that I would encourage you to adopt. It only takes a moment to make a decision. What takes prior to that decision is the information required to make the decision. When you have 4 calls or 6 calls or 3 calls in order to make a decision, it's because it takes that much information or you're inefficiently delivering that much information. And so we have to think, what are the core elements of all 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 calls, whatever it is that it takes you currently to close a prospect. And when I say calls, this could be conversations, it could be emails, whatever it is that you communicate with people on. How can we take the most salient elements, bring them all to the front, and have everyone watch it so that when you start your sales conversation, you start with somebody who already knows all the main things, and we're really just talking about decision to make a purchase. And so not only can we eliminate or decrease the number of calls from call it 3 to 1 call, but we can also take our calls from call it 60 or 90 minute calls to 15 to 20 minute calls. Again, further increasing your efficiency with your sales team. And this is ultimately one of the most high leverage things that you can do in building a sales process. Don't worry, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. How do you make a VSL? I'll just give you the quick and dirty. There's obviously more to this, but I'll just give you the things that can get you started. And I will give you this one caveat, which is don't obsess. I would spend so long on the lead magnet that I wouldn't even get it out. Or I'd spend so long on my VSL that I wouldn't even do it. You wanna make it good, but you wanna make it. And it being made is it being posted, it being live. Now, here's the cool part. You can always make it better. You can always make it better. You can always revisit it. There's no VSL that I think that is active in any company that I own right now. I'm just thinking on the top of my head. Don't want to make a major claim here, but I'm pretty sure that is the first version. We make it. We listen to the objections that come up on sales calls, and then we add those objections in, and then we listen to more. We add more of those in, and it's really simple. All you do is you record it, and then you just add a cut in afterwards that says, hey guys, I got a couple more questions from people, so I figured I'd answer them for you now. Here are the 4 steps. Number 1, review your most common objections in your sales recordings if you're recording your sales. If you're not, you probably still know what they are. Number 2, record you answering those questions as a video. Keep it light. It depends on how in-depth your thing is, how many requirements on their part. So again, for her high intent traffic, 3 to 7 minutes works fine. And then make sure it gets sent to every single prospect in the funnel. Here's the little pro tip for you. You want to make sure that they watch the VSL. So how do you make sure they watch the VSL? So the way I like to ask it is, hey, we want it embedded automatically. Now, in that process, we'll still follow up prior to the call and say, hey, did you get a chance to watch the video? If you're doing a set call that leads into this, so a tiny bit different, but like say you called outbound, you can still add a VSL in. You call the person, you set the call, and then you say, hey, I'm going to give you a video. Would you rather watch it on your own time, or with us? Now, most people say on my own time. And so then you just give it to them to watch before the call. By giving them that choice, it makes it much like softer. I don't know, it feels better. What happens if you get on a call and somebody didn't watch the video sales letter? It is my belief that you want to maintain the frame. And this is why I prefer shorter VSLs if whenever possible, because I can say, hey, you know what, John, we got an hour, so let me give you the video right now. You can watch it. I'm gonna go grab a cup of coffee. I'll be back in 7 minutes, and then we can talk about it. That way you don't need to change your scripting, because then you have multiple variations of prospects that are coming to you. Some have watched it, some haven't. No, you want to unify and uniform the process as much as possible. So we added a lead magnet to fix the funnel. We added a VSL. The third thing we did was we qualified harder. There are some things that in my entrepreneurial career have continued to be more true over time. They like age like wine. One of them is speed over everything, across everything in the business. The more I'm in business, the more I think about speed for qualifying prospects, the more I think about it for products, the more I think about it for results. I always want to shorten timelines. Another thing like that is qualifications. And we always have this big fear that if we qualify prospects, we're going to lose leads. But the thing is that if you don't qualify prospects, you're going to waste your time. And what happens is if you qualify well, you actually turn people who are maybes into yeses because they're like, whoa, these guys are legit and they serve people only like me. And so qualification in a way is almost like positioning yourself within a niche, but the niche is qualified customers, right? And so I said this earlier, but BANT is the IBM invented this is not me. Budget, authority, need, timing, and we include that in the intake form, plus a question about income. And so for her, she didn't have a sales team and she knew they needed to have money. And so she asked that question at a time because if they didn't have the money to buy clothes, then we're going to buy her services. She could spot those serious buyers before they even had the conversation. So she could automatically cancel and say, hey, you don't qualify. And then she doesn't have to create a personalized style assessment before talking to them. So it saves her time. So step 4. She had this funnel. What we needed her to do was rewrite the headlines. Now, if there's ever something to test on your funnel, it's the headlines. 80% of your advertising dollar goes to the first words that someone sees. It literally frames the rest of the page. That's why headlines are so important. It's not just that it's compelling or interesting. It literally shifts how every other piece of information is consumed. It's the lens through which they consume your copy. We rewrote the landing page headline and subheadline to focus on the freebie. Rather than trying to say, hey, come home with me, hey, come marry me, we say, hey, why don't we just get coffee? Why don't we just have a date? Why don't we just meet each other first? What we renamed it was free lookbook to dress for your tone or skin tone using your existing closet. If you're like, how do I make a good headline? It's how to yay without boo, even with greatest insecurity. The yay here is the dress for your tone, also the free lookbook. The using your existing closet is going to be the thing that they're worried about. What's my biggest objection that someone's going to bring up? They're going to be like, well, I don't want to buy a whole bunch of stuff. So it's like we want to lower the bar for now to get them on the phone. Free lookbook to dress for your tone using your existing closet. Now, there's no true boo on this one, but I would say that using your existing closet is a combination of biggest insecurity and the boo. One phrase that kind of combines both. And that would get us way more people to opt in and then ultimately book calls. And so the first thing we did was fix the funnel. And so she was converting barely 8 of our 1,800 blind clicks before. Now with this new setup, complete with a lead magnet, a sales video, a real qualification process, and a better headline, she should hopefully convert a lot more. And so the reason we did all this first is so we could be confident our bucket wasn't leaking before we cranked the dial on customer acquisition, so she doesn't waste money spending on ads that aren't going to convert. Ashley is a textbook stage 4 in the $100 million scaling roadmap. So she needs to identify and double down on her top 20% of customers, and she needs to make better free stuff to increase her conversion rate, and she needs to add qualifications or friction so the extra volume self-selects. So let's just have a look at our handy dandy roadmap here and see if that's actually what we tell people to do, because you know what? Businesses behave in patterns. They're very similar across industry, across size, because when we hit these stages, these are typically the problems that occur. So specialized product, price to serve niche down avatar, which we had fixed. Make better free stuff and more creative to boost volume. Great, add qualification to friction so the extra volume self-selects. Like every single one of these, and also track her KPIs so we can start managing this. So she had this data because we asked for it for the episode that we did, but she didn't have it before that. And when you do look at the data, and here's the crazy thing with data, is that when you do look at it, a lot of things become obvious. 8 out of 1,800 feels low. You better believe it feels low. What do we need to do to fix it? And so if you want to figure out where you are at exactly on the scaling roadmap, you go to acquisition.com/roadmap. And if you want us to take a look at your business like we did with Ashley's, on the thank you page, book a call. Every month we hold a workshop here at our headquarters, and it's the easiest way that we can make a huge impact on someone's business is actually meeting you face to face and just working through this stuff. Next up is her biggest untapped gold mine. So this was awesome. I was so happy when I found this when we were doing the diligence. You're gonna love it. So the second problem is that she had a massive missed opportunity. And I remember when I saw this, I was like, this is the Mondo move. If we did nothing else, this would be the big thing. And so when I asked Ashley where her best customers came from, she said, probably the matchmakers and social clubs I partnered with. Because I was like, wait, 6 partners send you 1/3 of your entire business. And she nodded. And I asked how she found it. She said, just Googled them and sent them some emails. And that's when I knew we'd hit a big gold mine. Those 6 partners found through basic Google search, and a few emails accounted for 1/3 of her total revenue. And so then I was like, okay, how many emails did it take you to get those 6? And she said 40. Think about this for a moment. If you could send 40 emails and get 1/3 of your business from it, which before you had sent those emails would be a 50% increase, wouldn't you send more emails? And to put context on this relative to her revenue, that's $2,500 per email sent. Those metrics are absurd. Most founders would kill for a paid ad channel or a paid acquisition channel with those numbers, and here she was barely using it. Again, a huge missed opportunity. And this is the kind of leverage that gets me excited. The thing is that almost every business has multiple of these. They're just hidden in plain sight. And the issue is sometimes it takes someone from the outside to see this. There's a Yiddish saying that I like a lot, which is your mouth is an inch below your nose, but sometimes you need someone else to tell you your breath smells. We're so close to our own businesses as entrepreneurs. I'm not saying I'm immune to this. You have your own banner plan list. Like you're so in the weeds, it's hard to zoom all the way out and think, man, this is a lot of work, this is a fire, but if I just did that, if I just poked over here, this will give me a huge return and make all the work that we're doing right now irrelevant. Many of you might be laughing that Ashley had such a big gold mine she was ignoring. You and me have these issues within our own businesses. And so sometimes we chase new opportunities without tapping into something that's already right in front of us with massive potential. So you do something once, it works, and instead of doubling down, you chase the new thing. And this is super common, especially the smaller you are. This is a perfect example of more, then better, then new. So why do so many business owners fail to tap into their kind of like obvious gold mines? Honestly, I think it's because they're distracted. It's just there's so many things that are going on in the business. And typically when you're a small business, you're managing not only acquisition, you're managing pricing, you're managing delivery, you're managing clients, you're managing employees. There's all these things that are going on. Sometimes it's hard to think strategically and think, where do I get the biggest bang for buck? If I could only do one thing to double my business this year, and it had to double the business, what would I do? Great, why am I doing anything that's not that? So sometimes these questions kind of open up your mind, but you have to ask them from the outside when you have a little bit of space. That was the problem. So what was the solution? This is what we did to scale our affiliates. We didn't change the play at all. We just ran it way harder. The first step we did was build the list. So if you're following along, you're like, oh, I could do this. Yeah, you could. Everybody can build a list. All right, so we expanded the affiliate avatar beyond just matchmakers because let's face it, there's probably not 100,000 matchmakers in one city. There might be 20 or 50 or 100 or 300, but there's not an unlimited amount, right? What other types of businesses would have this type of prospect in this particular moment of the buying cycle? And this is key. She identified when we had our conversation that it's like divorcees or single people who are executives who have never found love, or sometimes it's wives who feel like they and their husbands don't dress according to their social status or their perceived social status. We expanded it to private social clubs, executive coaches, high-end personal trainers, divorce attorneys. All of those are people who own a business that contain the ideal avatar for Ashley's business. Ashley could serve their clients and make them look good in the process. And the beauty of this is that she's not competitive with them, right? Like a divorce attorney doesn't lose anything by referring their divorce client over to Ashley to look better and feel better. If anything, it's a benefit. That list is not exhaustive, but it was a great place for her to start. And for you, if you're looking at your business, we just have to think what other businesses sell to our customers. And everyone typically goes to, my competitors aren't gonna bring those people over. Yeah, but there's a ton of businesses that are adjacent. And this is also one of the strongest reasons of staying focused in your business. If you try to do all things for all people, you also can't partner with anyone. And so if you stay very focused on one specific avatar and selling them one very specific thing, then you can go to other people who sell.
All right, I'm making $1,000 a month for the rest of my life because I helped this family stop their foreclosure. Let me
something different, and then you guys can work together. And so one of the ways that she did this is she would hold these events that then benefit all of their customers because it's all these divorcees that would want to meet other divorcees because they're all now recently single. And so you have this kind of meetup thing that she could sponsor and adds value to the divorce attorney, and also it works as a way for her to solicit new customers. Win-win. First thing we did was build the list. The second thing we did was send the darn emails. So I gave her the goal of 10xing her existing volume. So she had done 40 over her lifetime. I said, why don't you do 400 in 30 days? 40 emails generated 6 high leverage partners. Then 400 might be able to get us 60. If she did 60 high leverage partners, you could do the math on that. It would be a lot. And so she committed to sending the 20 outreach messages per day, no fancy software, literally just on her email, just sending it out. Keep it simple. The third thing we did was activate and retain, because affiliates, you have to treat like customers. And this is where people go wrong with affiliates. Like, no one's gonna do that work for you. You have to work it. You have to work them. You have to work the relationship. So it becomes much more like enterprise farming sale. So there's hunters and there's farmers. So it's more of a relationship manager. But you basically need someone, and sometimes that's you, to continue to farm the relationship, to keep them activated, keep them engaged, keep them retained, so they keep sending you customers every single month. And so you want to think about them as nodes of customers, 20 people, then I need to hit them up regularly so I can provide value to them, buy them dinner, host events for their customers, all these things to remind them to keep you top of mind. So why is this so powerful? Affiliates will keep selling for you. They are a recurring customer generator, and they'll send you a few leads a month, or sometimes hundreds of leads a month, that have demonstrated they're already willing to pay for similar services. So they're most qualified. They're just like warm referrals passed on to you. The likelihood that you close these prospects, super high intent, is very high. If you're like, man, this sounds kind of interesting, I would love to have an army of affiliates just sending me customers. Like, she only had 6, that was a third of her business. If she had 60, my God, it would be a lot bigger. And so I wrote an entire chapter on this in the $100 Million Leads book. It starts on page 227, and I give you the list inside of the book of exactly what to do step by step to set up an affiliate army. I've grown multiple businesses where affiliates were the largest source of business. School is one of them. More recently, Allen, my software business before that, Prestige Labs, our supplement company, all of those built off affiliates. So I feel very confident in talking to you about this, but this is the quick and dirty. So number 1, find your ideal affiliates. That was that list. Number 2, you have to make them an offer. So for her, it was like, can I throw events for your customers? I'm going to pay for it. That makes them look good and gives you an ability to sell them. Number 3, qualify the affiliates, because you want to make sure that they're actually like good and they have your right audience. Number 4, figure out what to pay them or compensate them in whatever way. Sometimes it's like, I'm going to do stuff for your customers that'll make you look good. Sometimes it's, I'm going to bundle an element of what I sell into your core offer so you can charge more for your core services. Or my thing can be an upsell that I give you 100% of the cash on. Or you can sell my thing and I'll give you some percentage of it. All of those are different ways to structure these affiliate agreements. I talk more about it inside the book. But once you figure that out, then you just got to get them advertising and keep them advertising. Getting them advertising is, how do we launch this relationship? Because typically they're going to have an existing base. How do we promote this new partnership together so everybody wins? And then once that launch occurs, we want full integration. So how do we make sure that month after month they're sending you customers? And so most people spend $10,000 a month on ads and completely ignore affiliates that might bring way higher returns. And so Ashley was already doing it, she just needed to scale it. And so we first fixed Ashley's leaky funnel, then we took advantage of the huge affiliate opportunity that she had in front of her, and now we're gonna fix pricing, which is problem number 3. She had some big pricing inefficiencies. Her clients were high income. She served CEOs, socialites, frequent flyers, people who could afford outcomes, not hours. But her pricing model didn't really reflect that. And she was charging a one-time $8,500 onboarding fee and then offered either the $2,000 a month for ongoing styling or $4,500 a quarter. So solid numbers, especially for boutique high-touch service. But when I dug into her existing clients, most of them weren't actually paying those rates. They were grandfathered in at $1,500 a quarter or less. Worse, the website and intake process didn't clearly set those expectations. And so there was no pricing revealed until after the call. No mention of tiers, no mention of value framing. This is supposed to be a premium experience, but it was being delivered like a commodity. This happens a ton, by the way. Like, a lot of businesses like want to be boutique, but then the sales process completely breaks the frame. If I give you one word for what your sales process should look like, it's congruent. If you are high end, your ad should look high end, the lead mag should look high end, the people you're qualifying should look high end, the price point should be high end, and then the product and service should be high end. Everything has to fit, and if it doesn't, it'll break the frame. It should look high end. Like, a lot of businesses like want to be boutique, but then the sales process completely breaks the frame. If I give you one word for what your sales process should look like, it's congruent. If you are high end, your ad should look high end, the lead mag should look high end, the people you're qualifying should look high end, the price point should be high end, and then the product and service should be high end. Everything has to fit, and if it doesn't, it'll break the frame, and immediately something feels off, and it'll plummet your conversion rates. And so when I asked her how many clients were actually opting into the $2,000 per month, she said only a couple so far, which wasn't surprising altogether. And so the question is, like, why wasn't she getting upsells? Number 1 is she had recently changed this price, so that was for sure a factor. It's also pretty common that as a business expands, especially when you're smaller, that you don't charge enough upfront because you just want to get going, and it's okay, it's normal. But in time, you start looking at your margins, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I can expand this. Now, to be clear, she had 42% margins, not bad. I mean, that's probably pretty good. There's no issues there. I never limit myself on like, oh, these are good margins, therefore I should not make more money. By all means, make more. There are no rules. The thing that she was missing was 2 things. Number 1, she didn't have a price anchor, which would dramatically affect the take rates on that back-end offer. And number 2 is she didn't have a frictionless upsell for a main offer into continuity. So she was selling the $8,500 thing pretty okay. She just wasn't getting as many as she wanted into the continuity, which is the real value of the business. First thing we did is we introduced a highest tier continuity option that would make the existing $2,000 a month or $4,500 per quarter seem reasonable by comparison. And so even if only 10% of the people took that high-end offer, when that high-end offer is 10 times as expensive, it still effectively doubles the revenue of the business. And for everybody else, it makes the normal price, which was once the most expensive price, feel like a deal. Now, if you want a pro tip on this, if you don't really plan on selling a lot of your price anchor, what you do is you want to have it be as similar as possible to your core offer and only change 1 or 2 things that most people don't care about. Now, the richest customers will always just want to buy the most expensive thing. But for everyone else, they'll see, wait, there's a dramatic price difference. It's about a very small feature difference. This is now a steal comparatively. So we set the frame and then we operate within that frame. So the second thing we did after the anchor was a backend. And not only did we have the backend, because you already had that, we actually made it default. All right, so how do we make it the default option? So I remember the first time I learned about this ages and ages and ages ago was in a book that talked about one country that was able to get like 70% plus of their citizens to opt into being donors, and every other country was at stop buying courses, but first things first. Let me build your store.
You know this ad played 2 times in a row? I mean, you see this? The skip? I'm about to play the skip right now. I played the skip. The same ad came, dude.
Like less than 10%. And the main thing that country did was ask
Swear
people
to
to
God, I'm
opt
like,
out of
damn.
being an organ donor rather than every other country that asked the people to opt
It came-
in. And so basically,
that
customers
skip ad, it came-
have a default bias, which is if they think this is the thing that most people do, they will typically do that because crowd mentality, herd mentality keeps you safe. If everyone's doing it, it is already tested, they're all alive, it is lower risk for me to continue to do what everyone else is doing. Not the best recipe for outsized returns, but a very good recipe and reasonable for decreasing risk. And so we want them to decrease risk by buying it. So instead of repitching continuity from scratch, we just positioned it as the next natural step after onboarding. So you've already invested in your transformation, let's make sure it sticks. And so oftentimes the best thing to upsell people, by the way, if you're like, what do I upsell on my backend? Here are my 2 favorite ones that you can use all the time because they always work. It's more of that thing they just bought or more help with that thing they just bought. They work exceptionally well, and what you want to do with this is you want to have an assumed close here. This is how we've always done it. This is how this normally works. We have the price anchor that we reintroduced. We made the backend the default. And the third thing we did is we pushed price. Now, you might have heard Ashley's original prices at $8,500. She's already priced so high. Why would she raise prices? So there's this thing in economics called a Veblen good. Veblen good is a good where when you increase the price, it actually increases the value, which is especially common in luxury items. If people know, especially if people know, that something costs a lot of money, they will then want it more. Isn't always the case, but sometimes it is. And in other cases, you can just raise the price and it just changes nothing about the conversion rate. The easiest way to make more money in any business is charge more for the exact same thing, provided around the same number of people take it. Here's a pro tip for context. The point of maximum profit is after the point of maximum conversion. This should seem obvious, right? You made it for $1, she could get more people to buy than if she didn't. Now, in her particular case, it might be so cheap at $1 that few people even believe it was good. So that gets into a different issue of pricing. But within the context of, in general, price, supply and demand, typically as supply shrinks, the price will move, right? Given the fact she's selling to luxury people, luxury buyers don't want the cheapest option. They're literally trying to look better than other people. They want the best. But if you don't give them a premium path, they'll just default to the lowest tier. So we had to make that path forward. What we did by reframing the offer and adding in the anchor and tightening the handoff from onboarding into continuity, actually could boost LTV on the back end and be able to slowly continue to push her prices until people weren't going to buy, or until the point where she was making less money than she was at a lower price. But the thing is, in my experience, there's so much more room here. Because think about it like this, if it were a curve. Most people will try and be here where they have, like, let's say maximum yeses. But the thing is that sometimes the maximum gross profit is here. This is a bad line to illustrate the point. But your no's are going to increase and your yeses will decrease. But if the price here is 3x this price and you're getting half the yeses, you make more money. And so far, just key takeaways. So number one, we fixed the funnel first. She was already doing 2 to 3x. So we had to add it in the VSL, the lead magnet, and we qualified our leads. So that was the first thing we did to improve the conversion rate on the funnel itself, all automated, which I think could give her a 2 or 3x there. We also fixed the headline. Again, that's an estimate, not a guarantee that's gonna happen for her, but that's my estimate. The second thing we did is we doubled down on the huge missed opportunity she had, which was that she had 1/3 of her business coming from 6 affiliates. And so we got her to build a list, commit to sending 20 emails a day, and then afterwards activate and retain them by giving them high value that she could deliver to their customers that they would get credit for. And then third, we continue to push pricing. And in order to do that, we reestablished a price anchor, we made the back end default so we could increase LTV, and she committed to continually increasing price until her conversion rate dropped such that she made less overall money. Now the business could attract more customers, convert them better, and retain them longer, and price higher with higher gross profit. And so if you want to see the full video of Ashley's reaction to this guidance, you can check it out here.
The smaller hometown businesses are what the heart of our town is.
Shopify, thank you so much. You've changed our life.
$34 minutes, that's not bad. Should we just dive straight to it. And I watch this. We can 7 months, and this is 5 months. I
You're
prefer
having a
watching
tough
a
time
girl doing business and watching a guy doing business. Sad nigga, but you know, I'm gonna keep my attention more. See, building at 300. This is two with stranger. See, let's see what type of business he
This
has.
is Ben. He's a cocktail consultant who helps restaurants and bars optimize their drink menus to increase profits. But his revenue is unstable. This is Cody. He runs a custom trophy and plaques business doing $1.7 million per year. It's a family business that's been passed down for 4 generations, but the business only makes 6.4% profit, barely $100,000. And after taxes, it's even less. So if Cody wants to pass this down to his kids one day, they're not gonna. This is Ben. He's a cocktail consultant who helps restaurants and bars optimize their drink menus to increase profits. But his revenue is unstable. Sometimes he has a great month, and then other times he sells nothing, and sometimes. Yeah. So this is Raymond. He's a chiropractor, does $5 million a year, and this is Alex. I'm an investor, and I make all the money that I have a golden share.
Alright, chiropractor. And this, and what does the shorty do again?
You're having a tough time right now. I think that if we get this right, the locations that you have will continue to grow even more.
Fine.
This is Ani. She runs a chain of eyelash salons doing $2.3 million per year. But she's dealing with challenges with her business partners, and she's spread way too thin. And if she doesn't fix this fast, this business won't just stall, it'll start falling apart.
Hi, I'm Annie. I own Amy Lash.
Alright, so we're gonna watch 2 more. This, someone else, probably maybe trophy or cocktail. Well, probably trophy. Those one or chiropractor because their business are more. I can understand the business quite easier. She's like, okay, she does a beauty salon. So basically, a friend, let's say, bro, you start as a hair. Like you do hair. Now you're like you do a service business. You do hair. Now you're trading your time for money. Now boom, you got enough money. You allocate. Now instead of you doing hair, you pay someone. Like yo, come step to my business. My business. You work for me. Now you do hair. Now you have time to do whatever you need to do. Now okay. Now she has this girl that you hired has control of this store. Now you hire another store. And maybe you can go to that other store until you get enough money to hire someone else to go into that other store. You know what I mean? Okay, so that's I'm kind of so she has a beauty salon store. I own Emmy Lash and Beauty, so this is a store. What do I know about stores? So she probably sells products too. So she's not only a service business. She sells products. Okay, so that might add to her profit. So let's see her profit. Is she not making enough money? Is she not making you said her returns are not good? That means her margins are not good. So her margins are not good. So how is her offer structured? How is she structuring her prices? Value B. Does she have qualified leads? What's her LTV? Does she have a lead magnet? We're about to find out, nigga. Whoa.
Beauty. We are in the business of empowering women with eyelash extension service. With a revenue of 2.3 million, 644,000 and a 28% net margin. We have 7 locations, been in business for over 10 years, and helped over 20,000 clients.
Amazing. What's the problem that you're dealing with right now?
I have 3 problems. First
Okay.
is lead generation, so we always need more clients.
Leads.
Second is making the service better. Manager training is inconsistent because the managers are spending most of their time doing lashes. New employees aren't getting trained as quickly. Third is partner problems. Some partners have dropped responsibilities since the initial equity agreement, and I don't take a salary for doing most of the work on marketing and scaling.
Partner.
What happens if you don't get these solved?
The company is not gonna grow. I'm doing unpaid work, so I feel unfair. I don't know how to have hard conversations with the partners because they're also my friends.
All right, tell me more about the partnership situation.
Have 3 partners.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, they are just not aligning with my new goals and mission.
Yeah.
Let's speed it up just a quite a bit. She cute, but I'm not trying to listen to her that much, yo.
Company, they kind of have their own thing. One partner has her full-time career.
Yeah, and a new baby.
Anyway, they don't manage the lash artists. They don't train them, so the customer service and the fulfillment are not as good.
Yeah, that's probably why those locations don't have as many customers.
Mhm.
Word of mouth. Yeah, we kind of have to fix these. Call it 7 locations first. And I think if we nail the model, you'll sleep better at night.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. And so that 600,000 that you had in profit, is that before you split it between all the owners?
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, you're having a tough time right now. It's a lot of people to manage.
It all started when I was working 60-hour weeks, but only getting paid for 15, which led to the question, where were all those hours?
I'm feeling a little bit stuck because I'm having a disagreement on how to grow the business. I have a bigger vision where I want to take the company, but my partners, they don't change the vision.
Who do you help?
So I have 99% women, mostly in their 20s to 50s, women who just value time saving or want to look good without needing a lot of makeup.
Is there an income level that's associated with, or does it work in any market?
The people who come back to continue the service would need a high income, but for someone who just wanted for an event, it could be anyone.
How do you help them?
So for a new client, our lash artist go through consultations, make recommendations, and apply the first set of lashes. If a client decide they want to continue with the service, they come back every 2 to 4 weeks for refills.
I want to double click there for a second. If they decide they want to come back, how does that work?
They just come back in.
Basically, when they want to come back.
Yes.
Noted. So this is a massive untapped opportunity that so many businesses miss out on. And so there's 2 versions of this that you can do. Number one is something we call BAMFAN, which I talk about all the time, which I got from Sharon Zavazza, which is book a meeting from a meeting. BAMFAN, that's what it stands for. So if you ever have the opportunity where someone comes in and they're going to have to come in again, book it then. Just get it done rather than trying to rely on them coming back by chance or remembering you, or just even creating the administrative burden of later having to schedule it when they're not right in front of you. The other way is just creating some sort of membership. Now, those are a little bit harder to sell because people don't like having recurring billing. That's why BAMFAN is one of the easiest ways you can implement just about any business. And so there's 2 versions of this that you can do. Number one is something we call BAMFAN, which I talk about all the time, which I got from Sharon Zavazza, which is book a meeting from a meeting. BAMFAN, that's what it stands for. So if you ever have the opportunity where someone comes in and they're going to have to come in again, book it then. Just get it done rather than trying to rely on them coming back by chance or remembering you, or just even creating the administrative burden.
It's like going to the doctor. When you're done your appointment, you go to the desk and they already set up a new appointment.
But the recurring membership component, if we can structure the membership well with a really compelling offer, it might be something that's going to drive more and more people into it, which will stabilize the business. Okay, so how do you think?
Now, why we talk about this because we're trying to get reoccurring customers. How can I get this customer is coming one time? How can I up the chance that this person comes back again? So she said membership and set an appointment as the first day. As soon as you finish serving, so you're like, let's do another appointment. Let's book another appointment. Your lashes might be done in fucking a month. So next month, let me book an appointment for you right now.
Wait.
Depending on the style of lashes, between 170 to 300. We do have an intro promotion for 99. When they come back between 2 to 4 weeks, it's 70 to 270.
So
the longer they go between fills, the more it costs.
So let's say that someone comes in for $200 worth of lashes. What does it cost you in labor and what does it cost you in lashes?
We pay our lash artist 50%.
Really? Wow. Do they cover the cost of the lashes?
No, well, we pay the cost of everything.
Wow. Generous. So they get 50% of top line, and then you deal with the cost of goods, marketing, rent, cleaning, everything else.
Yeah.
Wow, it's impressive that you're running 28% margins with that. That means you're running everything else on 22%. All of your
Our supply is cheap, that's why.
Yeah, no, but I mean, still 22%, that's really impressive for literally giving 50% of the top line away. Okay, so how do you get customers?
50% of our clients come from Google. It's unclear whether this is organic SEO or pay ads. Although I do spend $1,000 a month on Google ads.
Per location?
No, total combined, yes.
The $1,000 per month you're saying you spend between 5 locations.
Yes.
So you're spending $200 a month per location.
Mm-hmm.
So only spending $1,000 a month between 6 locations. So that's like $180, whatever the math is, per month that she's spending. It's not a lot. Think about this. She's spending $12,000 on a $2.3 million business. So if she spent 1% of her revenue, it'd be $23,000. So she's spending 0.5% on marketing, which to me is either like this marketing isn't working or she's not spending nearly enough. And I think she's actually in the camp of not spending nearly enough. If she tells me anecdotally that half the people coming in say they heard her from Google, I'm going to bet it's doing more than nothing. I'm of the camp of like, man, she's probably on a gold mine right now. Her probably cost to get a customer is almost nothing. And she should spend way more to get more people in the door. How many customers do you sell a month?
On an average month, our total appointment is 1,700. Total guest count is 1,100. 30% new clients, 70 recurring clients. 50% of our clients stay longer.
So total appointments a month, 17. Total guest count. I'm not sure what total guest count means. 30% new clients every month. 70% recurring clients. That's good. 50% stay 3 months. Alright.
And 3 months.
Do you have the same prices during the weekend, during like search times?
Yes, same pricing for weekdays and weekends.
When is it busiest?
Usually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Is there a time of day or is it just those days all the way
Just
through?
those days.
So the oldest law in business is supply and demand, and the cross point is where you have price. And if there's more demand, and less supply, like for certain times, certain days, then price typically can and should go up. And so she's running a business right now where she has some supply constraints that are temporal, meaning either time of day or day of week, where she has constraints only on those days. And so on those days, it would behoove us, or behoove Ani, to bump the prices up to reflect that shift in the supply demand of the business. Now, if you're like, oh, but wouldn't it piss off our customers? Of course, everything is about how you frame things. Now, would it be nicer if we said these are the prices on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the rest of the week you get a discount? Right? And that'll also drive more people to come the other days, which will then smooth out her demand curve and ultimately keep her staff better utilized during the week. And then by doing that, increase her availability on weekends, which would then drive more people to those times that she can fill back up, but again at a higher price. Genius. Brilliant.
People are changing the world with AI. From drug discovery.
Let me ask you a big question. Would you say that you have more of a limitation on doing the work or getting customers?
Getting new customers.
Interesting. So you could say handle a lot more volume.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more demand issue. All right. Beyond that, why the rush?
There's no rush. It's just that I don't see an improvement.
Can I tell you why I ask?
Yes.
You have 2 or 3 different partners?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you take the partners on?
I did not have the manpower to manage, didn't have the money to hire like a manager.
Then I'll ask the question, why the rush of opening? Before you had the money and before you had the manpower.
I just thought that we would make more money with another location.
I agree with you. You probably already noticed though that the next location is significantly harder than the first one. And the profit, I'll bet you a big part of the profit is probably from your first, the ones that you have the most direct control over.
So I thought when I opened more locations, I would make more money. But then I realized the manager aren't training the new employee as well. The fulfillment of the service are not as good. Some locations aren't doing as well.
So I have a lot of empathy for Ani because I made the same mistake. And so I had 6 locations almost to the, same thing. I had multiple partners. I did this. And the reality is that if I had just continued to cash flow, the first location that I had, rather than getting really aggressive with my expansion, I would have expanded better, more profitably, and I probably would have had a stronger brand going into new markets. And so sometimes we have to go against our desire to do things fast, make them easy, just make quick, big bets on new people that are unvetted or untested. Whereas if she had been able to maintain control and maybe have 3 locations by the same time period and she runs them all outright, she would be consistently stomping out these new locations because here's the really fun fact. The fastest way to 5 locations isn't the fastest way to 50 locations. You might go slower for your first 1, 2, 3, 4, but by doing it that way, you set up the infrastructure, the foundation to be able to then aggressively go from 4 to 10 and then from 10 to 50. But you can't do that if you have all these hodgepodge deals on the side. Because let's think about this all the way to natural extreme. Do we think the future version of the business is her with 100 different partners? Probably not. And if that's not the future version of the business, why start doing that today? And the answer to that question is one word: rush. This is the per location numbers. You own number 1 and number 4 outright. Number 1 makes the most profit, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that one run 28 or is it higher margins there?
It's around the same margin.
Okay, so it's like 20. So
Yeah.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool. So that one makes like 250,000 a year, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then all of them kind of maintain the same margins, or are any of them not profitable? Or are they all profitable?
Very similar margin.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting. That's not common. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a kudos to you. Talk to me about the membership process.
So we just started a membership. We're still working on it.
Okay.
Not rolling out yet.
So you've never really tried to have some sort of upsell offer.
We do have an upsell.
So upsell location 1 revenue 800K, 500K, 400K, 300K, 200K. I own 100%. No, she owns 100% of the first location. She co-owns with the second. She co-owns with the third, and she owns 100% of the fourth, and she co-owns number 5. So I'm guessing. Oh, the co-owns. Okay, co-own, okay. I see. I'm trying to see if like the ones that she owns, is it making more money? The one that she owns 100%, number 1, she does make more money. Second location, a bit less. Third, a bit less, going down. Fourth, she owns 100%, which makes less. Alright. An average net margin for each location, 28%.
When a client come in for that $99 set, I usually upsell them to 170, which is like a better set of lashes.
Okay. What percentage do you upsell?
I can upsell 90% of the time.
What about the team?
Probably do less than 50.
They don't even ask.
They don't even ask.
I
Yes.
mean, I guess they're getting. If they have 50, that's not bad. 50's not terrible. Also, in terms of close rates, like 99% close rate for people walking the door. I probably wouldn't. I don't even know if I would track. I mean, it's worth tracking to see if it falls off. But what I'd be more interested in seeing is the close rate on upsells, because the $99 thing is not where you're not where you make money. So she's got a really big opportunity here where she's saying that they close 100%, but it's basically pre-closed people who already checked out on the page. And so when someone walks in already having spent the money or knowing that they're going to spend this money, they already know the price, they have the card down. those are like, in my opinion, just absolutely assumed close. Like you're not gonna mess those up. The real opportunity though is that these are essentially lead magnets, the front end promotional offers that are not designed to make money. The offer that's designed to make money, the profit maximization component of it is the upsells. If she's not getting a huge percentage of people to take the upsells, those are all the missed opportunities. Because think about it like this. Let's say she breaks even functionally in terms of cost after payroll and taxes and materials and rent and labor and all that stuff on these promotional offers. Because if she only did promotional offers, she wouldn't have any profit in the business. So the real business is the upsell. And that's what we have to be focusing all of our attention on so that we can maximize that step 1 and step 2 take rate. What's the incentive for the girls to stay?
The lash artist.
Because I'm assuming that you could lose them pretty easily.
I offer training and to advance their techniques, but
Which the other
mostly
people aren't delivering on.
money. Yeah,
Yeah. So do you lose them to other competitors or do you lose them more to them just going out on their own?
I'm going out on my own. That's one huge problem that I have is I don't know how to prevent them from taking our clients either.
Yep. I have ideas. Ready to dive in?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it. Come on over. So here's how we're gonna do it. Number 1, we're gonna talk about pricing. I think you have a little bit of an opportunity there that I'll walk through in terms of search pricing. Number 2, membership that you're trying to put together. I have a lot of ideas on what we can do to make that better. 3 is going to be the upsell process. Next one is going to be career path for your team so that you can try and keep more of them. Ads plus attribution. How do we know we're getting what we're spending for? This is going to be a big one. Partnership. Man, it's hard for me to even talk about the other 5 without going into this because I think that this is the one that feels the heaviest to me right now. Because fundamentally, if we don't nail a partnership, then none of the execution is going to happen.
That's what happened after I went back from the event. Like, hey, these are all the things I want to do, but they're not really on board.
Yeah. Okay. Check this out.
If you're not using footprint charts, you could be missing key information about the market. Why? Because price charts.
Okay, so this is the $100 million scaling roadmap. Layla and I spent 200-ish hours going over all the companies that we've owned, invested, and scaled, and trying to break down where were the points that we got stuck, and then what do we do to break through. And we broke it in these 10 stages, and Ani is at stage 6, optimize. So let's look at some of the problems that she's dealing with. She has to run more ads than she currently is. So to graduate here, she's got to implement the ad assembly process to increase volume. If you're like, what's that? I have a whole video on it if you're at stage 6. She has to install a product improvement process for both products, because the second product here is the membership product, right? And so we need to put a process in place so that we can continue to improve it, so we can decrease churn and get more people to take that upsell, which also goes hand in hand with installing sales training systems and individual coaching and the team cadence to make sure that they're maximizing that upsell at step 2 when they come in for that promo offer. We need to get more people to take that upsell, both in terms of just the immediate upsell, but also the membership upsell. And the only way we're going to do that is through training. And I think Ani says this. She's like, the team's not as trained as well as they should be. And if we're thinking of like what layers is, she's got 2 layers of management. She's got a full team of managers. Every one of these locations has a manager. So these are the problems that she's dealing with right now. And for her long term, right, she almost shortcut the idea of getting good managers by just partnering. But what she really needed here, like what was the constraint, was that the number and type of role she needed exceeded her current network, right? And the thing is that she just used her current network to just pull people in, and that has become an issue. And so these are all problems that happen all the time at stage 6. And so if you're like, man, I would love to know what stage of business I'm at so that I can know what the constraints are and what I need to graduate. And so this is 100% free. You go to acquisition.com/roadmap, you type in your business information, and it'll figure out what stage you're at and give you the potential solutions that might help you get through that stage of your business. And if you like my team to actually work with you in person to make sure that this is the stage you're at and these are the things that can help debottleneck your growth, then on the thank you page you can schedule a call with our team. We'd love to potentially see you out here in Vegas. Well then, I don't normally do this, but let's talk about the partnership first. Let's resolve that, and then we can talk about the downstream stuff. You have 3 sets of partners. You have 2 that work full time, and then 1 that you've done multiple partnerships with. Which one do you want to tackle first? Okay. The reason I wanted to talk about her partnership structure is because all of these things that I'm going to go over are wonderful ideas and they're great things that she could do to potentially grow the business. But if she's using up 80% of her mental bandwidth on these partnerships, then she's never going to be able to execute any of this. I want to maximize the life that she succeeds, and part of that is deconstraining the biggest time drain she has, which is these partnerships that she hasn't visited yet. Which is why one of my favorite quotes is, everything you want in life is on the other side of a few hard conversations. You know, my heart goes out to her with the partnership situation, and I know that firsthand, having 9 failed partnerships. All the big jumps in my career happened after I had tough partnership conversations. If she doesn't deal with this thing, it's just going to get bigger and nastier. And so you might as well deal with it now. And so this is me also talking to Ani and her potential partners. Please try and resolve whatever concerns you have and set up clear expectations. Don't leave it in the gray. Don't leave something gray because you don't want to confront the issue. Like, whatever you say to your husband or you say to the people behind one another's back, just say it to each other, get it out there, be clear about what you want, and then ultimately I think it's going to be better for all parties. I think that your initial inclination is right, which is that you have option 1 is that there's a role that doesn't exist within the business, which is to do this level of work and sell story. So when I had my first partnership ever, or second partnership ever, I had 2 people come into the business, and so they were all 1/3 partners. But I was the one who ran the gym. I didn't get paid any more than the other 2 partners who never stepped. Not really. Didn't step from the gym comparatively to the amount of hours I did. The big issue that I had was that I never asked for basically what I should have probably been paid, which would have been what a manager would have been paid. And so the actual business has artificially high profit margins because there's a role that I'm doing as owner, but I'm also doing the role of somebody who would be working the business. Because long term, in order for it to really scale, you can't work in it. So you're basically running as manager probably for multiple locations right now. You're basically doing as an unpaid manager, which is not uncommon in the very beginning, but over time, it's like as cash flow is there, you really want to have that role so that later you can say, I'm going to hire someone, and we're going to pay them the same amount that they paid me to take this role. And so it should be the rate that somebody else would be able to do the same work for. it's super important for Ani or anybody who has a model that they intend to scale to pay what would be market rate for the role that they're fulfilling within the business. And the reason that's important is because if you want to open up more locations, you're going to have to leave that location, which means you're going to have to backfill your skill set there. There's a couple components to this. One is if you're doing like 4 different things at 25%, then that means there's something wrong with the model. We need to better organize the team and the roles so that all that work is covered. And if somebody else is going to come in and do those, 4 25% roles, fine. But we need to make sure that that's factored into our return on capital in terms of how much it costs to open up a location versus how much we're going to make from it. And so let's say that we've got a location that's making $300,000 in profit and it costs us $50,000 to open. We'd be like, oh my God, let's open a ton of these. But we then find out that it costs us, $200,000, for example, to pay somebody who's good enough to be able to execute the business model there. All of a sudden now we're making only $100,000 in profit per location on $50,000 investment. Now, mind you, that might still be a good return, but we still have to factor all of those pieces in. Is this the real return, or is this artificially inflated because people are acting as owners and just getting a profit share of it? It's not really built into the overall economics of the model. And this is why we say nail it, then scale it. That's option one. The other option is if you decide that you don't think the partnership's going to work out long term, then I do think it makes sense for you to split the partnership. Now, there's 2 paths there. So path one is that she buys you, the other path is you buy her, right? Now, I think the fairest way to approach it is to do something called a shotgun offer, which is like, I will buy you out for this, but I will also accept that for you to buy me out. Yeah. And so you can basically make the price and the terms. So it's like, pay me over 2 years, pay me over 3 years, so I have to pay up front. But when that happens, you're going to be running this business, and I'm going to be running my own locations. Mm-hmm. I think that if we get this right, I think the locations that you have will continue to grow even better.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with...
It's just the problem is, what if they say no to the buying out part?
Well, the thing is that you have leverage, which is if you're the working partner, you can say, well, then I'm not going to work anymore. Okay. So there's leverage. Yeah. And they have equal opposite leverage. But if they already
look at her, bro. Look at her face. She's not doing that.
Brings it in, always gives you leverage in a relationship. The idea here, though, is that I think the fairest offer is I will buy you out of this, but I'll also accept that. But either way, I don't think this is going to work long term because we have different goals. Yeah. And also because you have multiple locations together, you might be able to do just a straight equity swap, which is like you're 50-50 here and 50-50 here. Let me just take this one, you take that one, and we just go our separate ways. And that's super smooth because then you really, it's an in-kind transaction, there's no taxes, and you basically just swap equity for equity. Yeah, I've actually done a deal like that. That might be the cleanest thing for you to do because it's a clean break. And then all of her focus is like, I just have to make this one profitable, and then you just pick the other full one. And if you want to be really generous about it, you can say, I'll let you pick which one. Okay. If you want to be really generous with yeah. How do you think she'll take that? I think it's a pretty reasonable offer. Yeah. Yeah. But look, if you do 3 different paths, I think the salary thing's gonna be hard given what you said. It sounds like a clean break is the way to go. So either buy me out or let's just trade. So we have path A, you do an increased profit share. Path B, which is shotgun offer. Path C is we just consolidate. I take the other half of this one, you take the other half of that one. Which one do you think you'll offer?
Offer the first one first, and then if they say no, because I still want to have the relationships. I still want to run this business together if they're on board.
How many years have you done this with them?
5.
But it has been working.
So before we just kind of...
We were friends.
We would just let it be. Yeah. There's not a lot of growing the business. Right. Does this make sense? Just more like hiring and...
different goals.
Yes. Now it's like, I want to make each customer be happier with the service. Right. I want to improve our employee.
You have higher goals than what she wants to do, which is nothing wrong with it. She's family, she's on the career, whatever. Yeah. Can I give you my 2 cents? I think she should do the equity swap. The thing is that I think you'll be able to keep the relationship longer term. Basically, because if you have an ugly end of the partnership, which, the profit share percentage, and there's like, well, now I feel like I'm getting paid even less, and you're really just doing what you were already doing, you're just being greedy. There's the shotgun offer, which then, one of you is writing a check to the other person for the next 2 years,
so
and that kind of things everyone.
Your partner
is a very clean way to end it, and it's just unique to the situation that you have because you both own multiple locations together, and so I think consolidating that is very clean. And then at that point, you can be 100% friends, and you can share all the secrets that are working, with one another, but she can choose to do whatever she wants.
With her location.
Right, and that way you can still talk business, you can still talk all the things you normally do, except the stakes are less. And if she doesn't want to do so much, she doesn't have to do it. Yeah. That's my advice. Because I think that you want to run faster than someone else does, and that's very hard to keep long term. Yeah. That's what I would do for partnership.
How does it work if, let's say, she picked the one that's the second location? It wouldn't be the same at the equity of the less revenue ones.
Yeah, depends how bad you want to go. I'm serious. Okay. I gave my best location to a partner so that I could split. You said earlier that you have about the same level of margin between the 2 locations. You've got 2 and 3. It's like if you got 3 and she got 2, that would be a quote unfair deal for you. Okay. It would be. But then you're not going to be restrained anymore, and you can go do other things, and you'll be in 550 or 600 or 700 in the next 12 months because you want to do more things. Yeah. So then fine. Okay. This is a small business. You can very quickly change the numbers. That'll be the easy part. Okay. This is the hard part. Yeah. The rest of this is straightforward. Yeah. Familiar with that so far? Yes. Okay. Let's talk pricing. I think that you should probably consider a plus 20% price raise on weekends, and that's because that's when demand is the highest. Right? If somebody wants off hours, then they get off hour prices. If they want peak hours, then they get peak prices. And so that'll smooth out the demand within the facility so that you can actually just get more utilization out of it. And over time, what happens is that you'll smooth out the weekdays, but then you'll have even more people on the weekends. You'll just end up making more. And I think they'll have a big difference on your profitability. And so this is where I would experiment with having a weekend search price. Okay. Now, you're having people just come back whenever. At the end of every single appointment, we need to have a bam, which is book a meeting from a meeting. So when they finish with the lashes, they walk them to the front and they say, cool, your lashes are going to be done in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Let's just get that on the calendar now because I'm getting booked out pretty quick. Is there any reason you can't do that?
We do have clients who book their appointment right away.
But not all of them.
Not all.
Right. But if we had all of them do it, we would make more, for sure. Because even at basic level, if they're coming back every 4 weeks or every 5 weeks, and we just get them always to come back every 3 weeks, you double the amount of times they come back in a year. Yeah. It's a lot. So do you think you can do that?
Do we give them like incentive to book, rebook?
You can, or you can make the job.
So we do ask them, and
We do ask the client.
Every
to
time?
book- Yes, every time.
Okay.
Just some of them, they like, oh, I'll book later, I'm busy.
Yeah, we would do basic sales training around this because it is fundamentally a sale. And so if someone's like, hey, I'm not sure, it's like, well, totally. If you want, I'm here and you're here, let's just pull up our calendars and that way we can just get it sorted right now, so I don't have to worry about it later.
Mhm.
So it's just like a couple of lines that you can overcome with somebody that, I mean, if you just train them on like 2 things to say, if someone says, I can't do it right now, and maybe like, I don't have my card on me. You're like, don't worry, we have the card on file, and if you want, you can at least pull it up. Does next Saturday work? Does the Saturday after that work? Now, you might find that you have a better time booking the next appointment before you do the lashes.
Okay.
Because I'm sure when they have their lashes done, they like want to get out the door,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But if you book it while they're doing it or before, it's like they're just sitting there.
Yeah.
So you've got, how long does it take to do lashes?
Like an hour.
Right. So if they're like, I don't have time to figure this out now, it's like we have 60 minutes to just get one thing done, which is like, let's just book the next time you're in it.
Okay.
Do you feel like that's more reasonable?
Yeah, we can try before they get the lashes done.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I prefer to sell before because once someone has gotten the value, they want to leave.
Mhm.
And so I want to do it before they've, gotten the value because
Yeah.
they're like, oh man, I want to get this done. And he's like, great, well, these are gone right now in 3 weeks. Let's get the next one on the calendar. Okay, so Bantam will just say before. Before/during.
With today's unpredictability, the way your teams work needs to be able to adapt to changes and to
Getting a customer to come back and buy again is absolutely a sales conversation, though it walks and talks like an administrative conversation, a scheduling conversation. But a lot of sales conversations walk and talk like that, but they're not. And so we need to treat this conversation and outcome of getting them booked back in with the proper respect it deserves for the business. Because if all of a sudden we got 80 or 90% to rebook, it would dramatically change the outcome of the business. If that's the case, then we should put a lot of attention to this. And the nice thing is this doesn't even seem that hard, which are my favorite types of implementations. Not that hard, hugely impactful. Now, I do want to talk about the career path. Does everyone come in and start at 50%?
No, so they start at 40.
Okay.
Not everyone, depends on their experience.
Okay. The way that I like organizing something like this is, here, I'll draw it out for you. Let's say somebody can make eventually, 55%. Okay, so say like we have 55%, and then we've got 50%, and we've got 45%, and we've got 40%, 35, and then 30. All right, let's just say that that's hypothetically our little path here. All right, so they might start here,
Now
and they're going to be junior,
30 seconds.
technician, whatever. Now, we can intermediately give them a bump, and I like to have this basically every 3 months. So this gives you almost a 2-year time horizon of improvements where you say, cool, I'm going to get you go from junior to lash tech. And then you get the raise, and then you go senior lash tech, and then you get the raise, and then you get, what's another word for technician?
Lash artist.